All right, they were not here, now they are here, so we are on with the journey. How many people in here speak the German? We are going to talk about the NFTs and Germany next. Very good. Are you guys very excited? Get up your levels of excitement now. All right, let's bring to the stage, we're going to talk about discussing the state of the union of NFTs in Germany. We have Dr. Annette, Fabian Zentel, Chantalle Alberstadt, and Annette Schuster. Come to the stage. Give them a big round of applause. Tell them you love them.
Thank you for this round of applause, and thank you for the introduction and cheering everyone up. So, yes, welcome to the panel about discussing the state of NFTs in Germany. But before we start, I would like to ask you a question. So, what do you think? How well is Germany suited for founding or founding an NFT project or Web3 project on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is obviously not at all, and 10 is super good, the best place to start an NFT project. Oh, I see a 10, okay.
Did you actually start a project so far?
So keep this number in mind, and we will reveal our numbers as well in the end. And yeah, maybe your number changes after this panel. So first of all, let me introduce my fellow panelists. We have Dr. Annette, who is a digital art expert, lecturer, and really the specialist on art and digital art. And we have Chantalle Alberstadt, who is founder of an NFT project, which we get to in a few seconds. And also she runs a brand design agency. And we have Annette Schuster, who works for Ernst & Young in Hamburg and is also in the court there. And at QEii she is part of the crypto working group. So we have also the legal and regulation specialist on board. My name is Fabian. I'm a podcast host in a German podcast called NFT and Web3 Insider Podcast. And yeah, let's go. So let's start maybe with Annette. So what do you think? Maybe give a short introduction. What is actually digital art, and what is it probably not, and how or what are German-based artists doing right now?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is, so digital art is nothing new. Yeah, so digital art exists since the 1960s. So since the first computer was switched on, so there is digital art. Per definition, digital art must be created through digital tools or in digital forms, or as a sequence of zeros and ones. But there are also many analog artists that use digital topics or new worldviews to create digital art. So maybe what is not digital art is maybe just making a photo and bring it on the blockchain, for example. So NFT also is nothing new, it's an evolution. So NFT, the first art NFT was minted 2014. And I would say so NFT is an evolution. Or also evolution, but it's an extension of art. Yeah, so it's nothing new, but an extension of art. And in Germany, there are many artists working in this space. Tobias Rehberger, for example, did a very nice NFT project, Fairy Tales and Conspiracies. Or Holger Lippmann, he's in the space since the 90s. He's programming, and Tamiko Thier. So there are many artists coming in, and more want to be on chain.
And what I forget to mention in the beginning, you also founded your own companies, and with X Circle, for example, you also create art experiences. And when you do this and you bring together like artists and people who are interested in art and curators, for example, what criteria are important to you when you choose them?
Yeah, curation is a key right now. Yeah, so what is curation? Curation means educate people and to think about what is art and what is good art. And art, to me, as an art historian, it's all about a concept, an idea, which is much more important than the medium. And art is also handwriting and not just one work, so it must be a group of works, then we can talk about art. And so we were choosing in this category, and we know many artists from the past, and we have OGs, I would say OGs, artists that are working in this space for very long. And what does Xcircle? Xcircle is an online crypto collectible gallery, and combines in real life experience with virtual experience. So we are hanging digital art on digital walls. That is what we do.
Wow, sounds interesting. So you mentioned a few artists already. Do you also have, because you're deep in this space and I'm sure you know a lot of projects, do you have can you mention some projects maybe, or what do you think are interesting projects also coming from Germany right now?
In general?
Just
yeah.
in general, yeah. And maybe we can open this question as well to everyone.
Yeah, we have this famous women DAO in Germany, and it's great that we are 3 women here on stage. And there's also Fancy. Fancy, for example, is in the world of sports, so they transform iconic sport articles on chain, and then we have the tokenization of the rainforest here in Germany. So there are many projects, and Meta Brew, so Chantalle, it's also great, it's gorgeous.
Should I just maybe go on with it, or?
Maybe the question right now that everyone is asking themselves is, what is Metabrew actually?
Okay. I see some holders here, but who's into beer? Who likes to drink beer in general? Just in general. I like to see that. So almost like everyone. And what we do is that if you're a holder, you get free beer. So that's like the easiest way to explain it. And one utility, for example, is the beer itself. Like you get 240 cans a year. And what we, for example, learned was it's good to guarantee something. We have like in real life utility, which is like an actual product at the end. So we own a brewery. We bought it already pre-mint to make it a bit safer for the people who jump in, who mint, because our community asked before, like, what is up if you're not minting out? As we started the mint at the end of September, bear market, and people are a bit more calm where they want to invest. And yeah, that is like the main thing. We bought a brewery. We want to build up an international beer business, also for just in general B2B, Web 2, and everyone can just order at our store or in our brewery. On top of a Web 3 community, because you have directly fans and brand ambassadors going out, spreading the word. Yeah, and that's what we do.
And I mean, you basically took the most German product, probably beer, and put it to NFTs. So this makes absolutely sense. Can you take us to the experience a little bit? And you mentioned already some learnings, but how was the process? Do you always wanted to start this in Germany, or were there thoughts about like doing this somewhere else? Because I know you also are focusing on like to do this internationally, and you have an internationally set up and holders, and also I think some bars all over the place. But what was the process like?
Yeah, we wanted actually to create an NFT project with a in real life utility, and I came to the project like I was the last co-founder who joined. The guys, I'm the only woman. The rest are just guys. They're sitting together, drinking a beer and talking about NFTs, and that's where the idea came up. And so one of our co-founders is actually a brewer, so very experienced, and we thought like we want to start it in Germany, in Bavaria, like the typical German classic beer, because Germans, of course, love German beer, and it's a quality thing international-wise, so usually it doesn't matter where you're going. If you're talking about German beer, people actually most of the time like it. That's why we thought like starting it in Germany, and in Web3 you're directly international. So of course we are on more events, for example, in Germany, being there, just pouring out beer, giving the people a taste, but the rest of it was just international from the beginning.
So, I mean, Germany is probably not well known for its easiness in regard to like legislation and regulation, as you can imagine. And I think you had some challenges as well, probably when setting up the project. Just in, and maybe Anna can elaborate on this. What are like factors and what on which points do projects have to think of when starting a business or project or NFT drop in Germany? Because I think there's probably a wide range of stuff you have to think of.
Yes, thank you for the question. I mean, no matter where you want to start a project, you will have to comply with all the requirements anyways. But within Germany, we have really strong consumer protection. I think that's a thing that you probably learned, because if you are a business and you sell to consumer, they are very well protected by European requirements. So this is not only German requirements, which also makes it a little bit easier, because if you comply with all the requirements for consumer protection in Germany, you automatically, most probably, comply with all the requirements they have in France and Portugal as well, because Germany has really, really strict requirements. For example, there is a right of withdrawal. So if you mint an NFT, you can basically give it back within 2 weeks because you bought it on the internet. So if it performs well, you probably won't give it back. But if it loses in value, I think a lot of people might change their minds. And I mean, also, what's the first thing you should think about is what kind of legal form do I want to have? Do I want to have a corporation or do I want to have a partnership? Because if you have a corporation, there's no personal liability. But if you have a partnership, you are personally liable. And the same goes for taxes. If you are organized in a partnership, you need to pay taxes for, this is a weird expression, but the profit your partnership makes, because basically it's not the profit of the partnership, it's directly your profit. And the same goes for a corporation. You don't, since you're not personally liable, the corporation is liable for taxes, not you. So you really need to think about what do I want to have, and then go with it before starting. Also to avoid some requirements. For example, if Chantalle, you could, I'm sorry to say like that, but you could basically say, yeah, this is just a subscription for beer in real life. But there is such a broad range. If you want people to participate in your profit, then you're really close to offering securities, and therefore you need to comply with more requirements according to the Securities Trading Act. So there is no black or white. It's a really wide range where you can choose from and then argue it's more the one or the other.
I think this probably when the tax comes in, I mean, we're happy that we can do it online by now, but the tax system is probably really, really complex, and there are a lot of stuff this is related then to it. And you mentioned also that the setup depends on the project, which makes sense, obviously. What do you see maybe changing? Because we often say the NFT space or the Web3 space is kind of Wild West and there are no regulations. But on the other hand, you just said that the regulation is not only about like the NFT, but the project and what it does basically. Do you see something changing there? Are we, especially in Germany, where the bureaucracy is like very slow and the development in this regard is very slow? Do you see something happening there? Are there new like legislations, regulations coming up? What is happening actually there?
So in Germany, as most of you know, there is no special NFT law or something. The idea of German law in general is applying principles we already have and the laws we already have to new situations. That's what makes law in Germany, that it's general and abstract, so you can use the same law we already had for new situations. We have a lot of statements by the Federal Ministry of Finances, but this is not law. It's kind of an interpretation for tax authorities how they should use the law on NFTs. What's coming is certain European regulations, so they're gonna be in Germany as well, obviously. For example, the MiCA, we've heard a lot about it. And it says the MiCA does not cover NFTs, which a lot of companies are happy about, but it does cover utility token, and you cannot say, oh, I'm selling NFTs, so that's why I'm not aimed at by the MiCA, because an NFT can also be a utility token. So a lot of NFTs actually, in my opinion, are covered, and the MiCA basically aims at more consumer protection. It has a lot of transparency requirements, anti-money laundering rules. So the European Union is more on the topic than the German state, especially in taxes, because, like I said, we already have laws that cover the whole topic. It's just nobody knows how to apply them.
Maybe the question back to Annette and Chantalle, what is your experience? How do projects and especially artists maybe develop in this situation? How do they go through this? What is probably unique about German artists, if there is something unique, or is it like compared to international artists or US-based artists, for example?
I think so. Maybe we as Germans, we can be on the forefront of these regulation stuff. Yeah, so we are always in time, and we have this Web3 Lex by Oliver Scherenberg, and what we do with NFT art. Okay, we said it on the BaFin. We did not get any answer yet. But we say it's art. So this is not the last definition. Is it really art? Are we talking about material or immaterial goods? And what we do is just setting 19% tax on every work. Either it goes out of Germany or not.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because the VAT rate normally depends on the country of delivery, so to say. And that depends on what are you actually delivering. So if it's an electronical supplied service, normally the VAT rate of the country where the consumer sits is applicable. And as a business, it's really hard to find out where are the consumer actually located. And
but it's exciting, no? I would say it's all in its infancy, so let's just do it. I would always say just do it, better than doing nothing in this space.
I think that's part of the journey. I mean, we're all on this journey together, and everyone who's like dealing with NFTs and Web3 or founding projects or running businesses, I think, is kind of a pioneer, and as well in Germany, with which is probably applied to every other country as well. So there are some rules, regulations you have to cope with. There are some unknowns, and you have to deal with them, and you probably have to go with the flow there. So just do it. I think it's a good approach, and I think also in Germany, what I see is there are the interest of businesses is growing. The projects, the founders are like connecting, and it's pretty important to also have networks that are kind of local and or regional. And I think one advantage, as a challenge as well, is that the language is where we connect, or where we have to do more education on, is German, for example. And this makes it probably harder to go international. But on the other hand, I think there's, as we see on this panel and a lot of panelists here in NFT.London as well, there is growing interest and growing community. And this is what makes it interesting from my point of view, and exciting as well. And we also see, of course, big German companies like Adidas, for example, like aping into the space and trying something out. And I think when more companies come in there, and this is also a signal for the regulation and the legislative and the politics, as well as for yeah, the people that are in the space. So maybe your number. So everyone is waiting for what is your thought on how well is Germany suited to start with NFTs or NFT projects?
Chantalle should have the last word. We have 10 seconds.
Oh my God. I think it's pretty great, especially if you see like how many people from Germany are here. We met in New York, and there are growing like real relationships between the projects, and that's what I love, and that makes it so much easier to grow a new or to start a new project. I think to just stay in that community, which is getting stronger and stronger. And I'm over that 10 seconds. I'm sorry.
Okay. Quick number, everyone.
I would give it a 7.
Oh, fine. So just do it.
I'm with you. Just do it. Just a 10 and just go for it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.